And that's pretty much all there is with the AirPods 2. It's not entirely true, but it's the main one. So before we jump into the rest of the AirPods video, hope you guys notice a change in videos. We're having fun making these. We don't want you guys to miss anything, so hit the subscribe button, the little bell, so you get notified when new videos are coming your way. So when the AirPods first came out, we made a video on it. I thought they were absolutely ridiculous and only served Apple for justifying removing the headphone jack on the iPhone 7. Like they were charging you for a feature that they removed. And to some extent, I still think that. But, you know, like any Apple product, I wanted to try it and I didn't want to form an opinion based on just, you know, some ramblings around in my head. So I tried the AirPods and I slowly started to come around on what they could do and what they could do, you know, for me to try to make my life a little bit easier. I still think the timing of launching them with removing the headphone jack put a bad taste in my mouth, but at least now I can appreciate what the vision was when the AirPods first launched. So a lot of the mystique of Apple, the mystique of the AirPods is how well things integrate and just work. I mean, the pairing is as simple as opening up the case and then they're paired and work. And then you could use them on any other sort of Apple device you've got. Go into Bluetooth and they're there, ready to be connected. That is awesome, something you can't emulate with another pair of headphones. Also, I obviously like that they're wireless, not having a cord to get tangled or not having, you know, pull a wad of cables out of your pocket. Certainly super nice as well. I've been relatively impressed with battery life considering how small they are. In all honesty, I'm not that big of a music guy. I'm not an audiophile. I have a hard time telling the difference between, you know, really incredible sounding headphones and headphones that are just average. But my use case with AirPods is mostly based on phone calls. I am on the phone all the time. I don't like having a phone up to my head. So the fact that the AirPods serve that purpose very well. The microphone's been really good. I wish I had a little more noise canceling, or any noise canceling for that matter, but for making phone calls, light music listening, and listening to audiobooks, they've been a perfect fit for me. So I think if you ask Apple now if they anticipate the success of AirPods, they would tell you 100% yes. I think Apple fell backwards into AirPods' success, that they fell backwards into the success of the App Store. And then sort of hindsight rewrites history. I think they were trying to make up for, again, removing a feature on the phone, and then they took off and created a brand new category that I think caught Apple off guard, as we saw by the supply constraints when they first shipped. Also, if you remember when the first AirPods launched, like you couldn't buy them anywhere if you didn't pre-order. They were still hard to find up until 4 or 5 months ago. So I think that scarcity probably helped people think that they had something, you know, that was rare, and I don't know, maybe it was a planned thing on Apple, they were just supply chain constrained, but I think that helped Apple achieve some more mainstream status, made people just want them more. So I think AirPods is like as a status symbol has been funny. Like there are memes of like fancy looking dogs with AirPods in, and I think sort of once they reach that cult status of like you're successful if you have AirPods, I think when people started to ignore the hideous design, it kind of became more mainstream. So $160 for Gen 1. For a lot of people, is obviously justifiable. They sold a ton of them. It was still expensive, but it was, you know, maybe more justifiable because at the time there weren't that many other sort of good wireless options. And then, you know, how seamless it paired, it made the AirPods at least seem quasi-justifiable at the $160 price point. But now at $200, I think they're really approaching the threshold of like that's just too expensive. So it had been almost 2 years since AirPods 1, and the hype was building for the next gen. The rumor mill was churning about what it was going to have, and in hindsight, it was probably more of like a wish list than things Apple was planning, but all the stuff we would have wanted: colors, noise canceling, water resistance, better audio fidelity. And then AirPods 2 came out, and what we got was wireless charging, hey,
hi,
support, and the H1 chip. All right, so we're friends. You're not gonna yell at me. I can admit it. I bought AirPods 2. I pretty much just bought them for wireless charging. Call me a hypocrite, it's fine. And I've been using AirPods 2 and they work exactly the same as AirPods 1. The pairing time is slightly faster. I have noticed zero difference in audio quality, and I charge them wirelessly. So I spent $200 to essentially get a green dot. I feel like for the first couple days that I got AirPods 2, I was trying to talk myself into thinking that the audio is better, so I didn't feel like I spent $200 for no reason. But then I went back and listened to my AirPods 1, and I really have a hard time noticing any sort of difference whatsoever. But they charge wirelessly. If any product in Apple's recent history was like a stopgap until what's coming, like a 0.5S generation, it is clearly AirPods 2. They look the same, they sound the same, they perform almost the same. If we can just like put on a tinfoil hat for a second and talk about what actually came out with the AirPods 2. Remember the box mentioned AirPower, which obviously isn't a thing anymore. I'm gonna go out on a very tiny limb and say AirPods 2 and the wireless charging case, which was actually shown off back when Apple was announcing AirPower, was ready to go in some part of 2018 and was actually held for, I'm guessing, for the AirPower launch. When they realized they weren't gonna launch it, they started just shipping them. Otherwise, it makes no sense for AirPower to be mentioned on the box. So what you're getting is already something that should have been out 4 or 5 months ago, lending even more credence to this being just a S series of upgrades, and the big one coming next year when you get presumably a lot of the things you want on your wish list. It's a different market now than when AirPods 1 came out. AirPods 2 are coming to a more mature market. So with anything electronic, something new and better is always coming. So think of AirPods 2 as AirPods S. In 2020 is the rumor we'll be getting better water resistance, actual noise canceling, better battery life, color options, those things that will sort of separate the current gen AirPods from, what could be coming. So that alone is a good reason to consider waiting. And if wireless charging is what you want, you can buy the wireless charging case on its own without having to, get the AirPods 2 to go with them. There's also a crazy amount of competition now for your ear holes. You've got obviously the Galaxy Buds, the first one to come to mind. Jabra's got options. Bose has options. Apple's own brand Beats has an option that does things that AirPods 2 doesn't do with the new Power Beats. The Chinese knockoffs are coming like crazy, and for significantly less money, there are just more options now than before, making AirPods 2 seem even like a less compelling of a buy. It's some of the features of AirPods 2 is nice, but even Apple themselves, they just say better sound quality, but they don't really sound that much better. It says improved battery life, but it's really not improved that much. There just isn't a compelling reason to go out there and buy a brand new pair of AirPods 2. So I think that the caveat is if you don't have any wireless headphones, especially if you don't have AirPods 1 and you just want what Apple offers because it works with their ecosystem, then yeah, AirPods 2 is a good way to go. If you want a pair of headphones to make phone calls, listen to music or audiobooks, it's awesome. So since I'm kind of living in a dreamland, let me tell you a little bit about what I would like for AirPods 3. And Tim Cook, if you're watching in this hypothetical dreamland, you take some notes. Let's start with something that makes them look different. If I'm gonna shell out that money, I want them to look different than what I had before. So give me some colors with new AirPods. A matte black, I know it would make Marquez happy, would look crazy sweet. Product red AirPods would look awesome. I would love some colors. I like to be able to use my AirPods on an airplane also, so some sort of noise canceling would be really nice. And a lot of people like to work out in their AirPods and maybe they get a little sweaty, so better water resistance would be awesome to have. Improved audio fidelity, better battery life, all that kind of stuff would be things that I would want AirPods 3 to have. So we can just check off each one of those. Personally, I'll be a happy man, but I'll still probably find something to complain about because of who I am as a person. Chances are you may already have your heart set on AirPods 2. And if you do buy them, you're gonna get a pair of really good wireless headphones. If you've got Gen 1, you're looking longingly at the green dot on your friend's case, hold off. It is not worth the upgrade. If you don't have any sort of wireless headphones right now, there are a ton of really good, cheaper alternatives that bring things to the table like noise canceling and better water resistance and better battery life that the AirPods 2 just don't have. And the moral here being is don't be a John. Save your money and take your special friend out for a nice dinner. They deserve it. You know who I'm talking about.